Mara Gillespie, founder and principal of BlueStack Strategies and former press advisor to then House Speaker John Boehner, and CNN political commentator and former Democratic South Carolina State Representative Bakari Sellers. All right, good to see both of you. So, Bakari, you first. A Biden testimony is probably not top of mind this morning for the president. Instead, that huge fundraising haul of $26 million last night here in New York. So what kind of momentum does this give his reelection campaign? Was there something said, some, inspiration inside, or perhaps even the demonstrators outside, concerned about Palestinians, which will shape Biden's messaging this point forward?
Yeah, there's no way to put a damper on what the president was able to accomplish yesterday. What you saw was a party unified. You had Bill Clinton, you had Joe Biden, and you had Barack Obama all together raising money for a unified effort to defeat Donald Trump. I don't think you can pay George W. Bush any amount of money to stand next to Donald Trump. You have a fractured party. You have Nikki Haley, who garnered a third to 40% of the Republican voters as she was running her failed bid in the primary election. And so you have a unified party versus a fractured party. And even more importantly, one of the things you pointed to is $26 million is, I guess the older folks say, is nothing to shake a stick at, right? Mm-hmm. So $26 million is a lot. We're outraising Republicans, and all the money that Donald Trump is raising selling Bibles is probably going to his legal defense fund.
Mm-hmm, yeah. And Mara, Biden's, competitor Trump, he criticized this event, as elitist, among other things. He instead showed up at fallen NYPD officer Jonathan Diller's wake. Yet next week, Trump wants to make it his goal to raise something like $33 million at a Florida gala. So not elitist here. What is his message or the goal?
Well, his message is all over the place. He can't decide which one he wants to be: angry at Biden for outraising him or having this event, and then also wanting to compete with him. The biggest win for Trump, which I say this, recognizing that this has unfortunately been viewed just through political lenses, was those headlines where it was, Biden, Clinton, Obama have glitzy event and Trump attends the funeral of a fallen hero. He wanted that headline. And I say that because that's who Donald Trump is. It's not looking out for we the people. He's looking out for himself. And that fundraiser next week is about himself, because the RNC is bleeding money, and his campaign is also now having to be tapped into, where he has to sell shoes, he has to sell Bibles, because he's not been a person who wants to go out and make donor calls, but he's going to have to now because he needs the money.
Bakari, the latest CNN poll of polls, is continuing to show a very tight race. Trump at 47%, Biden at 44%. So will it be about money raised, FaceTime, ad time across the country? What's it going to take before you've got, a widening of the gap between them?
Look, I love CNN with all my heart. I hate polls right now. Polls right now mean absolutely nothing. CNN polls, Hartford polls, Milwaukee polls, any law center polls, barbershop polls, none of them really matter right now. It's just too early to tell. Polls are a snapshot in time. They may show you some warning lights or flashing lights here and there, but really the both campaigns. My analysis of this race is simple, has always been simple. It's Donald Trump, it's Joe Biden, and it's the couch. This is not a persuasion race. This is a GOTV race, and Joe Biden has to make sure that people don't want to sit this race out. And so, if they make sure they focus on the fundamentals, I think of getting voters out, I think the person who does that best will win this race.
Mara, Trump has yet to pick his running mate. Florida Republican Representative Byron Donalds' name is in the mix. CNN K-Files reveals examples showing Donalds, hasn't always been a fan, saying in a Facebook post in April of 2011, I'm quoting now, Trump is a huge distraction and cares more about himself than the country, in my opinion, but I could care less about him. Donalds made that in relation to Trump's claims that Obama's birth certificate was fake. So what's changed now between Trump and Donalds?
This idea that it will benefit them to get behind Trump. That's really what you're seeing for so many of these members who have acknowledged the cancer that he is on the Republican Party, but have thrown that aside just for themselves. They put their ambition in front of their governing, and And we're seeing that play out with so many of the members of the Republican Party who have, just pledged their full loyalty to Donald Trump. And, that part's really hard to kind of wrap our head around. But to Bakari's point, I think just looking at the polls and looking at this race, it is about fatigue. And people are frustrated. And, yes, these fundraising numbers, 26 million and a hopeful 33 million next week, put that in the context of somebody sitting at home saying, I'm exhausted by this, because that's what it looks like. I mean, they're just spending this money to fight against each other. And what are they doing for us, for we the people? I think that's the biggest question for people at home. And whether that gets about to vote, we'll see.
All right, we'll leave it there. Bakari, we're reading your body language, so I know what you're thinking and feeling. Bakari Sellers, Maura Gillespie, thank you so much.